The golf world thought Justin Rose was fading until his Ryder Cup performance said otherwise. Now he's finally talking, and the story he tells is not the one fans easy. And today, I uncover what really powered his Bethpage resurgence and what it means for the future of European golf. Bethpage. Justin Rose didn't just play well at Bethpage. He disrupted Tweak like a veteran who had been understated one too many times. He entered the 2025 Ryder Cup carrying the reputation of a steadying hand, the classic locker room adult whose presence alone soothes rookies, but the narrative twisted the second he stepped into Friday. 4 balls with Tommy Fleetwood. The pairing was supposed to be. Instead, it became every time a U.S. duo threatened momentum, Rose answered with kind of narrow window approach or a V-putt that rewrites highlight. The gallery roared for American surges, but Rose kept choking that noise back into stunned silence. But, no, the European legends of the game have always said, play, 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 as long as you can because they're the best days of your life. There's time for vice-captains, there's time for captaincy. And when it's the right time, if I'm ever asked, oh my God, yes please, booty love being in battle. It kind of fires me up. It gives, takes me to a place I didn't know it could go. And I think after being a prof for 28 years, I had to go places this week where I've never been before. What made it even more poetic was how those moments. Saturday brought more of the tight matches, rising American tension, and Rose intercepting danger like a man possessed by alcohol. Then came Sunday, the recovery shit that froze Bethpage black mid. Viewers later joked online, that ball seemed to obey him, out of long-term respect. Analysts didn't, they simply pointed at thigh shot-by-shot swing data, showing that his short game precision had returned to something bordering on supernatural. His strokes gained numbers validated what eyeballs had already screamed. This wasn't nostalgia. This was cold, repeatable skill, surfacing exactly when it mattered. And yet, the most baffling twist came from the small ritual he evolved before matches. That quiet visualization routine, something teammates barely remembered him using. It was described as his reset button. A deceptively simple act that set his balls to sniper frequency. On camera, the slow-motion shots of his composure paired with the crowd's disbelief did rest. Rose wasn't just competing, he was reversing atmospheric pressure. This was the Bethpage breakthrough. A week where a veteran didn't age out, but agged inward, weaponizing every year of experience into a surgical match-winning. Silence shattered. Then came the moment no one expected. The press room shift. After the chants faded and Thetraphy shine settled, Justin Rose finally opened up, not with victory gloating, not with polished PR lines, but with the kind of tonal break that made the media sit up straighter, not getting much help from his partner. This is on it. He began by expressing gratitude toward teammates and captains, but beneath that warmth sat an unmistakable admission that the week had tested him in ways he hadn't felt in years. He described the experience as one of the purest joys of his career, and while the words sounded humble, their subtext was far heavier. He was recalibrating publicly. The watching world sensed the strategic undertones instantly. Instead of Linenginto, personal heroics, Rose framed his performance inside Luke Donald's system, subtly acknowledging that Europe had engineered matchups that maximized his. That framing wasn't, it was the language of Samayan positioning himself for future. He repeatedly referenced an engine of energy, of schedule, of long-term competitive viability, and analysts instantly recognized the credit. It was veteran chess. Play fewer events, hit bigger moments harder, become more valuable by doing less, but doing it better. The real eyebrow raiser was the quieter revelation, almost tossed out casually. He had been in daily contact with former captains and mentors throughout RDR Cup week. That detail didn't trend as loudly, but it mattered deeply. It hinted at a player reality operating in the space between competitor and strategist. Samayan gathering wisdom, not just for matches, but for future decision-making roles. Suddenly, every pressure putt from Bethpage took on secondary meaning, not only clutch execution, but the behavior of a man sketching out the blueprint for his post-playing future. This was Justin Rose shattering his silence, not by yelling, but by letting everyone know he understood exactly where his career stood and where he intended to steer it. Hidden machinery. The public saw brilliant shots. Insiders saw a machine built in secret. Justin Rose's Bethpage mastery didn't materialize by sentiment or nostalgia. It was engineered months in advance. His camp had quietly redesigned his entire physical program, leaning hard into core stability work and wrist-shoulder prehab intended to maintain a compact, reliable. It wasn't glamorous condition. It was preventive. That kind of boring, beauty-central maintenance is what preserves puting rhythm and keeps short game Philly live deep into a career. And at Bethpage, the payoff was glaring. His speed control, his scramble percentages, his ability to produce clean contact under all of it traced back to a deliberate off-season experiment in durability for Rafik. But the preparation went beyond bodywork. His team embraced data like they used launch monitors, putting sensors and force plates, not just for technique, but for managing load and identifying fatigue spikes. His posture for pressure putts it was force plate refined. The range footage from Bethpage looked ordinary to casual fans, but coaches recognized the repetition of released micro movements designed to protect his wrists and stabilize his. This was not a veteran hoping to capture magic. This was a craftsman tightening every screw. Layered onto the physical machinery was the quiet rituals that Timotestor transformed him into the emotional ancha Europe leaned on. The early morning visualization wasn't just a wall, it was a recalibration of that tournament environment. The mindful breathing before teas became a rhythm, and the nightly debriefs with his inner circle served as pressure punches, wiping the emotional slate clean before each new session. These weren't dramatic Hollywood routines, they were micro habits practiced with monk, the kind that sustain clarity when thousands are screaming formaces. Captaincy currents, the whispers began before the champagne even dried. Justin Rose's Bethpage heroics did it just revive his competitive aura. They reignited the long smoldering idea Thoth was being groomed for something bigger, something with a blazer, a headset, and a war room. The captaincy conversions surged the moment Europeal fit the trophy, with pundits and former captains openly placing Rose on the shortlist of future leaders. Cadence was familiar, Rose deflecting with, reporters probing without pushing too hard. It was diplomacy masquerading as modesty, the classic prelude to an eventual yes. Observers weren't speculating blindly. There was tangible evidence that Rose had crossed into leadership territory. At 45, he embodied that rare archetype. A player still capable of match-winning brilliance, while seasoned enough to command trust in a team room. Camera footage caught him mediating tens of MINS, guiding younger stars through pairing strategies, and offering tactical nudges mid-round. Anna listened at how he functioned like a selector in training, talking lines, shaping risk profiles, and absorbing Luke Donald matchfully logic as if studying for an exam he intended to ace later. Even the way he handled chaos fed the narrative. During one particularly heated crowdment, the infamous beer splashing incident that could have spiraled into full dramatics, Rose responded with utmost presidential steadiness. There was no theatrics, no headline-chasing indignation, just a grounded diagonal welting of the atmosphere and a gentle reset of tensions. The European camp later said that moment changed Theorem's perception of him. The leadership amites watching from afar noticed it. Then came the post-week interviews, the ones where Rose subtly balanced two futures, the desire to keep competing at highest level, and the openness to taking on a guiding role someday. It wasn't retirement language, it was strategic ambiguity, the kind that keeps boards interested and fans invested. Bethpage hadn't ended his story. I thought expanded the potential chapters. Captaincy talk isn't accidental in golf. It's earned through presence, political finesse, and moments of tactical clarity. And at Bethpage, Justin Rose checked every one of those boxes with unnerving Polish locker whispers, while cameras caught the heroics. The real story of Justin Rose's influence unfold in the quiet corners of the European team. The spaces where no leaderboard stats could measure the spectacle of Bethpage mad headlines, but the subtler rituals here introduced defined how the week. One of those traditions was the nightly chat circle, a decades-old European custom that had faded in recent. Rose resurrected it with quiet authority.